Everybody, I'm Holly Tate, SVP of Growth here at Leadr, and today I am joined by Joe Pitts, who is famous on our Leadr team. Joe, don't tell any of our other customers, just kidding. This is going to be public, so everyone will see it, but you're one of our favorites. We just love you and Carolina Industrial, and specifically what you're doing in your role. And so that's the first question that I would love to open up with today is, tell us first about the company, what you guys are up to, and then secondly, about your role on the team, because it's unique and so important. So take it away.
Sure. Yeah, so I work for Carolina Industrial Products. We sell and service industrial equipment in North and South Carolina. So we cover the Carolinas, and the primary product we sell is batteries and chargers, industrial batteries and chargers for forklifts. So if you can imagine anything that you have on your shelves in your kitchen and your bedroom, anything like that has to get to the store in some way or fashion. And so forklifts are what help move that stuff. And we focus on powering the electric forklifts throughout the Carolinas. And so that's what our company does. We have about 65 employees. And we were founded in 1983, so not a new company, but it's a second generation owner and leader. And so really, taking things kind of to the next level with keeping up with things like culture. And so that's my primary role. My title is Director of Employee Engagement. And so I'm responsible for driving our culture and making sure that I hold us accountable to our mission and vision and values, and really all the things that we say we want to be, but they can easily get lost in the chaos of the day-to-day work. And so that's what I do. I also do all the HR stuff for us as well.
It's awesome. I feel like I could talk to you for hours because I love so many things about what you said. So first of all, one of my favorite things about interviewing our customers is learning about the variety of companies and organizations that are out there. Sure. Like I would have never guessed that obviously it makes sense because some company out there has to do it, but batteries and chargers for forklifts, like what a unique niche, but definitely. Obviously we're very thankful for that so that we can go to the store and buy things.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but what I love about specifically about Carolina Industrial Products is that they've created this role specifically called Director of Employee Engagement, and that HR reports up into that because sure. I think one of the things that we're seeing is that some people have this idea in their head that HR is like the enemy or the bad guy, but really it should be all about supporting HR, human resources, like providing resources to the humans that work in our organization. And so I just really appreciate that putting a title and having someone own employee engagement just shows the value that you all have on that. And especially as a second generation leader, there's a lot of cultural shift that happens when it's a family owned business. And so for them to really prioritize that is awesome. So I want to unpack that a little bit more together. So in your role as Director of Employee Engagement, what were some of your primary leadership challenges or employee engagement challenges that when you first came into the role, you were looking at that you realized?
Yeah, it's good. So back in 2019, we really started honing in on our culture and what we wanted this thing to look like for the foreseeable future. And so with that, a big part of my responsibility was helping us to create a mission, mission statement, create a vision statement, and then help us figure out what our values are, what matters most to us. So all that was really fun and it was a great process. But what we found is, the biggest challenge is communicating that down throughout the organization, right? So it's easy for a bunch of, top level type executives to get in a room and do that. But we work in a largely blue collar environment. And so getting that message down throughout the organization was definitely the most challenging part. And, we have a workforce of about 65 people. And of that 65, 60 are men. So it's a largely masculine workforce as well. And
Yeah.
some of this tends to be a little more feely touchy, right? And
Mhm.
so communicating that to those guys was definitely a challenge.
Oh, I can only imagine. And bringing them along on the journey so they feel like they can own it and be a part of it. Having that ownership when it comes to culture and mission and vision is critical. So
Sure.
that makes a lot of sense for sure.
Yeah.
So as you were noticing these challenges and creating the strategy around what employee engagement was going to look like, what solutions were you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, so I think when I started, I based the majority of my strategy on relationship. So I knew that the only way to get this across to these guys was through genuine, authentic relationship, right? And really rolling up my sleeves and being willing to get in there with them, get in the trenches with them, learn what it is they do every day, get feedback from them, really show them that I cared about what they were doing every day and that I wasn't just sitting in an office somewhere, dreaming all this stuff up, right? And so that was a big part of my strategy. But as far as a tool, I didn't even really know that I needed a tool until about a year ago, actually. We were, having a whiteboard session and really trying to figure out, okay, how do we get this down? How do we cascade this communication, this buy-in down throughout the organization? And it was crazy because we drew on the board, kind of the org chart. And I basically just said, hey, in order for this to work, it has to be done through relationship. It has to
Mm.
be the director of this department, meeting with his 2 direct reports, and then those 2 direct reports meeting with their 4 direct reports, and then so on and so forth down throughout the organization. And we said, well, how are we going to do that? And I said, well, I don't know any other way to do it than for you guys to have regular, like one-on-one interactions. And it's crazy. That's what we called it before, we had met you guys. And we said,
Wow.
hey, we got to have these regular interactions with people to make sure that the message is consistent. And not only that, but that they know we care about them and what's going on with them. And I'm telling you, it wasn't a week or 2 later when I met you guys and started the conversation about Leadr. And so we were looking for a tool to create some structure around this whole idea. We had an HR management software that we were using and had started to explore that, and then some Microsoft products and things like that. But honestly, a lot of it was pretty cumbersome. And it might have been okay for somebody like me, who's in it every day to use. But for the average employee, it just wouldn't work. So we found Leadr, and the rest is history.
I love that you said that, how you said it's all about relationship, because that's exactly what it is. It's not just having a meeting for a meeting's sake. It's about carving out that intentional one-on-one time to
Sure.
build a relationship, which builds trust. And that's the foundation of any organization. So
Mhm.
very, very cool. So when you were looking at Leadr and you found
Yeah.
Leadr, which how did you find Leadr, by the way? Was it online or through a friend?
It was through a friend. Yeah. So I used to work in the ministry, and so I had some mutual connections with Leadr, and I was in a conversation with him one day and telling him about our struggles and our strategy, because we had really developed this strategy of like, this is what we're going to do. And he's like, man, you should talk to these folks. I think this would really line up with what you guys are trying to accomplish. So that was that.
That's awesome. So what, now that we've, you adopted Leadr and it's been almost, has it been, yeah, it's been probably what, 9 months or so?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So tell me about life after Leadr. Like what has worked for you guys when it comes to using Leadr for those one-on-one interactions?
Sure. Yeah. So like I said earlier, I mean, it really was like hitting the easy button. I think, first of all, just the heart behind Leadr lined up really well with what we're trying to do. And I love that it seems like you guys start with the heart and not so much the method or the structure even that you've already established. It's kind of like, hey, you guys come alongside us and say, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And then, unlike some other companies and programs we've dealt with, you guys are willing to flex to, what we need and what our design is. with some real agility. And I think that's been awesome. The customer support has been great. I can't say enough about that. And just when we have needed something, you guys are there. And when I have asked about customizing something that maybe I didn't think was going to happen, that's been really easy, to my surprise. And then it's very user friendly. So I think that's the thing that stuck out most right off the bat was, a lot of times it's easy in a presentation for it to look user friendly, but then when you actually get in it, it may have some challenges. But I think from day one, it's got that feel that some of the modern day products that we love have, where, it doesn't matter if you're a tech wizard or not. It's very user friendly. And I think the word that comes to mind is flow. Like it just flows well from the time you open it up, the buttons that are available there, and how it flows through the process has been really helpful. And I think that was what made it, the easiest thing to sell it to some of my peers, as well as to some of the people, down lower in the organization, was just how user friendly it was. So that's the main things that stuck out right off the bat.
That is awesome. What about in your role as leading the charge of care and development of your people? How has it made your job specifically easier as the director of employee engagement?
I would say, it's helped me get organized with what I'm trying to accomplish. Like, I'm a pretty organized person, but trying to transfer that to other people throughout the organization is hard because, I can have a system that works great for me. And I can tell somebody that system, but them actually using it or executing is a whole different story. So Leadr gives me that. We called it from day one, we called it a life-giving structure. So often structure is confining and it really prevents people from, being able to make it their own. We felt like Leadr was just enough structure, right? So the life-giving structure that we needed for people to be able to execute what we're asking them to do. And it's also helped give me visibility, to what people are doing, and stay connected with folks through Leadr. And so that's been great. It's also helped us with our meetings, like our group meetings. So, we talk about the one-on-one and that's excellent. We utilize it for one-on-ones, but also the group meetings. We have a weekly director meeting that we use it for. And before Leadr, our director meeting would usually take once a week from 9 to about 3. And after Leadr, it's gone to 9 to 12. And that's simply because we all come prepared. We have our topics already loaded in there and everybody has visibility to that. And so it definitely allows our president to sort of rest that we actually are prepared and, the notes are there. So nobody's trying to, focus on taking notes while we're having the meeting. So that's been great also.
Wow. Yeah. Not only has I can only imagine the morale and collaboration that process and those team meetings has created, but also think about the time and money that's been put back into the organization to be able to take those hours out of that meeting. That's phenomenal.
Sure.
That is awesome. All right, Joe. So what advice would you give any leader out there, whether they're a CEO or director of HR or a line manager out there that's just trying to do a better job leading their team that's looking at Leadr?
No offense to Leadr, but like Leadr's not going to fix all your problems. So I think the first thing you've got to do is you got to focus on culture and you have to create the culture that you want. And I think you do that by focusing on relationships. And that's where Leadr can help you. So again, Leadr provides the framework for doing what we already said we wanted to do. We already said we got to build these relationships. We got to have these one-on-ones. And then Leadr came alongside of us and really created the framework, that life-giving structure that we needed to see it happen and to execute on what it was that we said that we wanted to do. So that's the main thing, man. If you want an easy button to help you drive culture and relationship, then Leadr's the way to go.
That is awesome. Joe, I could not have said it better myself, that we're just a tool or a vehicle to help you implement the values and culture and mission and vision that you already have or that you're striving
Sure.
to be. And
Yep.
so it's not magic at all. It's just that tool and vehicle to help you go in the direction of trying to be a better leader. So,
Yep.
Joe, thank you so much for just your commitment to your own team and the care and
Sure.
development of your people and
Yeah.
championing that for all of the 65 employees at Carolina Industrial Products. And thank you so much for being on the leaderboard. We so
Hey,
appreciate
man.
you guys.
Thanks for having me.